What is up, guys? Hope everyone is having an amazing day. So in this video I'm going to explain to you the deck for my Orvar, the all form list. So Orvar reads, it's a changeling, 3 generic 1 blue, it's a 3/3 body that says whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, if it targets one or more other permanents you control, create a token that's a copy of one of those permanents. And then it says when a spell or ability an opponent controls causes you to discard this card, create the token that's a copy of the target permanent. So Orvar basically generates tokens if you target permanents you control with a spell, instant, or sorcery. And it's a little bit a case of fine text, because if you for example play a displace, you can't create two tokens of two permanents. You can only choose one of them and then you create a copy of that. But this deck is very fun. You can generate a lot of value through copying creatures that are good. But yeah, I'm going to cut to the chase, and I'm going to start this video off by explaining you the combo. So basically it's a Naru Ghostly Flicker combo with Orvar on the battlefield, or even without Orvar. Naru and Ghostly Flicker generate infinite mana by playing Ghostly Flicker, then playing Naru and copying Ghostly Flicker. Then you flicker Naru you copy Ghostly Flicker again, and then if you flicker a land and Naru you can generate infinite mana just with these two cards. But in this deck, the win condition, well, one of the win conditions, the main one is Narumaya, Ghostly Flicker. Then if you play or you have Orvar out in the battlefield, you flicker Narumaya, copying Ghostly Flicker. Then you create a token of Narumaya, targeting either Dream Twist or Dampen Thought. And then you basically combo off like that. Dream Twist reads, target player puts the top 3 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard, and then Dampen Thought basically target 4. So each copy of Narumaya that gets sacrificed to the legendary rule, but you do still copy a target instant or sorcery outside Ghostly Flicker. So it's like, like with triggers on the stack, you can wheel in another instant or sorcery. But the main win condition is basically milling out the opponent. Now, I'm going to get by the ways to dig for your combo. First one is Silundi Vision, one of the best ones there is. You can look at the top 6, reveal an instant or sorcery, put it in your hand, and the rest go to the library and at the bottom of the library in any random order. Then Fact or Fiction, reveal the top 5 cards of your library. An opponent separates it into 2 piles, and then you pick a pile and the rest go in your graveyard. Then Treasure Cruise could be a 1-drop, 1 mana, draw 3 cards if you delve away some of your graveyard. Dizzy Spell, tutoring for any 1 CMC card. And there's a lot of 1 CMC cards that you can tutor for with Dizzy Spell. Then after you assemble your combo, there's some creatures to just generate value from, like, you need to copy these creatures in order to gain insane value. First one being Shipwrecked Dowser, basically returns the instant or sorcery in your hand. Prowess can be very good if you make a lot of tokens of Shipwrecked Dowser, and then let's say you combo up with Ghostly Flicker and Naomaya. These copies of Shipwrecked Dowser being created with Orvar could win you the game by just attacking or, like tapping them out. And Ogre of Bolas, if you create a token of this, you can look at the top 3 cards of your library, reveal an instant or sorcery and put it in your hand. The rest goes to the bottom of your library in any order. This is very good to dig for combo pieces, and creating tokens of this, they make good blockers while digging for combo pieces. Then Murmuring Mystic, probably one of the best creatures to make a copy of. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create a 1/1 blue bird illusion token with flying. So let's say you combo off with Narumaya and Cozy Flicker, you can make infinite 1/1 blue bird tokens, and then, you know, like just swing and go wide and win the game. Then Halimar Excavator reads, whenever Halimar Excavator or another ally enters a battlefield under your control, target puts the top X cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard, where X is the number of allies you control. Now, if you're ever in a situation where you have infinite mana and you can infinitely target creatures with a 1 CMC spell, making infinite tokens of Valimar Excavator will mill out each opponent. So that's why I included it. Scorch of Fleets, this is a very good card to make tokens of, especially because it reads, whenever Scorch Fleet enters the battlefield, return each creature your opponent controls with toughness X or less to its owner's hand, where X is the number of islands you control. So let's say you have this on the battlefield, right? Your opponents play out the creatures in their hand on the battlefield. You just, with the instant, you target this with Orvar out, and then you bounce all the creatures with their hand if the toughness is less than the islands you control, number of islands you control. Then Fairy Seer, just a body to flying body that scries 2 if you enter the battlefield. Stormtide Leviathan, a very good game finisher. It says all lands or islands in addition to their other types, and creatures without flying or island walk can't attack. So this is basically a soft lock of combat through combat, like you lock out combat for each opponent if you have this on the battlefield, and you can basically make it an army of Stormtide Leviathans, and then, you know, like just swing and attack. They can't attack, but you have island walk, so the opponent cannot block. Basically just a game finisher. Sage's Road Denizen, says basically whenever another blue creature enters battlefield under your control, target player puts the top 2 cards of his or her library of their library into the graveyard. So if you generate, let's say, 5 tokens, and you're done with the turn, you can basically mill each opponent for 2 cards. Same with if you have Murmuring Mystic out on the battlefield, each blue bird token creates, like each blue bird token created can mill a target opponent for 2. It's very good. And if you go infinite, you can infinitely mill, and it's very easy to go infinite with this deck. The Mnemonic Wall, basically getting any instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. There's a lot of ways you can generate not infinite tokens, but you can, let's say, create 8 Mnemonic Walls or 8 other tokens with just this, and let's say Archaeomancer is also in the deck. Another very, very good card to make tokens of is Wavebreak Hippocamp. Wavebreak Hippocamp says, whenever you cast your first spell during each opponent's turn, draw a card. So let's say you cast the instant in player 2's turn, you draw a card. If you target Wavebreak Hippocamp, you make two tokens, and then you can draw 2 cards. Yeah, so if you generate tokens of Wavebreak Hippocamp with Orvar out on the battlefield, you can draw 5 cards by just casting an opt. So this will generate you a lot of value and is very good in this deck. Muldrifter, when it enters the battlefield, draw 2 cards, or you can evoke it to draw 2 for 3 mana. Muldrifter is also a very good token target, because each like copy of this card will net you 2 cards in your hand. Archaeomancer, same with Mnemonic Wall and the Dowser. You can get any instant or sorcery back into your hand if you cast it with Orvar out on the battlefield, and it is still good on its own. Talrand cannot be made copies of because the legendary rule does apply to tokens, but you create a 2/2 blue drake creature token with flying each time you cast an instant or sorcery. So it's very good, and you might just win with an army of 2/2 drakes. Now we're going to the next strategy is, no wait, it's called making tokens. So this is a list of cards that will net you tokens of the creatures that you want to make tokens of, and will generally just be good and always, not always, but mostly net you a card in your hand. Like Twisted Image. We're not going to focus on what the card actually does. It has a little bit of value to it, but mostly you just draw a card of 1 mana. The Fairy's Time Twist might save Orvar, or might save the original copy of a token that you want to make tokens of. It's very good. You can just exile it comes back at the end step, and then you have an extra token of that card if it's not legendary. Hidden Strings, you may tap or untap target permanent, then you may tap or untap another target permanent, and it has Cipher. So let's say you have let's say you played Murmuring Mystic, you cast Hidden Strings, you create a 1/1 bird token. You can exile Hidden Strings as you cast it and copy and like attach it to the blue bird token, and then each time it deals combat damage to a player, you can tap or untap target permanent. And it is in the case that if Orvar is out, you can make a token of the creature or permanent that you target for this. You can even target lands, netting you 1 island each time. You can target artifacts, creatures, lands, enchantments, anything. So it's very good in this deck. Then Museum Skin can save Orvar, can create a token of any creature. It does have overload cost for just 2 more, so you can basically give all your creatures hexproof and make a token copy of any one of them. Innervate, it is one of the better cards in this deck. So basically it allows you to create a token copy of any permanent artifact, creature or land. Not enchantments, but yeah, this covers most of it, and then you can draw a card at the beginning of your next end step. So not only does this make a token copy of any creature, you draw a card a bit late. It's only on the next turn's upkeep, but you still draw a card. Then Trade Doctoring, change the text of target permanent by replacing all instances of 1 color word with another, or 1 basic land type with another until end of turn. This is basically just a good way to target any permanent for 1 mana, and then you can cipher as well. So you can target anything with this and make a token copy, and then you can cipher it onto a creature and cast it every time that creature deals damage to a player. Then Chilling Trap, for 1 mana instant, target creature gets -4/-0 until end of turn, can stop a creature attacking you by making their power 0 in some cases, and if you control a wizard, draw a card. So Orvar has Changeling, and he is in this case a wizard as well, so you will always draw a card if Orvar is out, and you can create a token copy of any creature. Twiddle, you can target lands, creatures, artifacts for 1 mana to create a token copy of that creature. Dive Down can save Orvar, can save anything as well as make a token copy of it. Reality Spasm, you can tap any target permanents or untap any target permanents. A good way to sink your infinite mana in by tapping each permanent the opponent has, and then you can swing open with no blockers. Displace says exile up to 2 target creatures you control, then return those cards to the battlefield under their owner's control. It's a good way to blink 2 cards to generate value. You can create a token copy of one of them, not both, one of them, but you can also save creatures with this, not only create tokens. Psychic Puppetry, tap or untap target permanent, splice into Arcane. It's a good way to tap or untap a creature, and some of the cards in this deck can make you cast this for 1. Then Twitch, you may tap or untap target artifact, creature or land, then draw a card. This is also a very good token creator. Energy tap says it's a sorcery speed, but it says tap target creature you control, add an amount of colorless mana equal to that creature's casting cost to your mana pool. So if you tap, let's say you target Scorch of Fleet with this, you will net 7 mana, 7 colorless mana, and create a token copy of that creature if Orvar is out. And this can ramp you quite significantly for 1 mana. It's very good. Then Mind Game's probably one of the best token creator cards in the deck. You can tap you tap the target artifact, creature or land, but you do create a copy of it. So let's say you tap an island for blue, cast Mind Games on it with Orvar out, you create another token island of that island, and it's anyway tapped, so it won't impact you that much. And if you need infinite mana, you can tap or untap. You can tap all of the opponent's cards, their lands, their artifacts, their creatures, and then create infinite copies of any land or artifact on your side of the board state. Then Stream of Unconsciousness, same as Chilling Trap. Target creature gets -4, -0, and if you control a wizard, draw a card. With Orvar out, you will always draw a card and create a token copy. Then Defy Gravity gives a creature flying. If you want to maybe let that creature go through to deal combat damage to a player to cipher a card that you attach to it, and it has flashback for 1, so it's basically 2 mana, and then you can create 2 token copies of any creature. Then Unsummon to save a card, maybe just to replay it, or if you want a certain effect to be activated again by it entering the battlefield, this will also help. Fleeting Distraction, targets -1, -0 until end of turn, draw a card. Another way to, again, make a token copy creature, but you draw a card as well. And that's it for creating tokens. And then we have the Countermagic and to, stop the good stuff. So this counters any target spell that targets a permanent you control. For 1 mana, that's very good, because usually removal is spot removal, and you can counter that for 1 mana. Abjure, sacrifice for 1 mana, sacrifice a blue permanent, counter target spell. You can sacrifice any blue permanent, and this deck runs a lot of blue permanents. You can even sacrifice a token of any creature. You can even sacrifice a 1/1 bird token and counter any spell for 1 mana. This is one of the better counter magic in the deck. Prohibit, counter target spell if it's converted mana cost is 2 or less. If you kick it, it's 4 or less, but it's still low on the ground, 2 mana spell, and it can counter a lot of counter magic. Sinister Sabotage, a hard counter spell, but you can surveil 1 to maybe fill your graveyard for treasure cruise, or if you surveil and you don't like the card there, you can just chuck it in the graveyard. Whirlwind Denial, some of my favorite counter magic in the deck. Let's say your opponents are having a counter magic war to possibly resolve something that will win them the game, or any triggered ability, you can cast Whirlwind Denial and it counters that ability unless they pay 4. Then Dispel, a 1 mana counter target instant spell. It's very good. Spell Pierce, a very good way to protect your board state and hand on since level 1, because you just counter no creature spell unless they pay 2. Then Supreme Will, acting as a counter spell and a way to dig for other combo pieces or cards. Negate, the very hard counter spell in the deck. And that's it for counter spells. But next is the utility enchantments and spells. So first is Verity Circle. It reads, whenever a creature an opponent controls becomes tapped, if it isn't being declared an attacker, you may draw a card, which is very good. And for 5 mana, you can tap any creature without flying, and that will also net you 1 card to draw. Omen of the Sea, it's an enchantment. Sorry about that. It's an enchantment for 2 mana. It has flash. When it enters the battlefield, scry 2, draw 1. And then in the late game, you can sacrifice it to scry 2, says to fix your draws a bit. Chase's Sanctum says it's a 4 mana enchantment that says instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. That does make some of the counter magic cheaper. It makes some of the token creating cards cheaper. And whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, scry 1, that comes in very handy, especially if you're trying to go off. Then Casmina's Transmutation, it nullifies any commander or creature and turns it into a 1/1 creature with no abilities and no abilities. Then Psychic Spiral, if your deck is getting low, you can cast Psychic Spiral, shuffle all the cards back into your library, and then mill an opponent for each card that you shuffle back in. Trail of Evidence, each time you cast the instant or sorcery, investigate. It is a very good way to like sink mana into on the late game, or if you go infinite with Narumaya and Ghostly Flicker, you have a way to draw your entire deck. And then it's not last but not least, the mana rocks I chose for this deck. So Hedron Archive, it's a 4 mana artifact that taps for 2, and then you can tap 2 and sacrifice it to draw a card. But it's just very good ramp in a monocolor deck because it doesn't tap for any color, but it does tap for colorless in a very cheap manner. Corrupted Gravestone comes in tapped, and then choose a color of any card in your graveyard, add 1 mana of that color to your mana pool. For 2 mana, it is a very good ramp spell because you will always have instants and sorceries in your graveyard, and then you can just add blue through it. Sky Diamond comes in tapped, taps for 1 blue. It's a bit of a drawback, but for a 2 mana rock, that is quite good, even if it comes in tapped. Spell Satchel, a very good card in this deck. For 2 mana, it taps for 1 colorless, and you do need to cast an instant or sorcery for it to have a counter on, but trust me, you're going to be doing that. And then for 3 mana, you can tap it to remove 3 counters and draw a card. So this will net you cards and colorless mana and ramp you a bit. In Mana Prism, add 1 colorless mana to your mana pool, or you can filter colorless mana into colored mana. Let's say you cast Energy Tap on a creature, you net 7 colorless mana. You can filter one of those mana into blue mana, and you can go off of this. Sisay's Ring, same as Hedron Archive, it costs 4 but taps for 2, so you can ramp with Energy Tap, cast this, tap it for 2 more, and then cast a Sky Diamond or Spell Satchel, and then you basically ramp twice. Prismatic Lens, also there to filter mana or just ramp you for the next turn. It costs 2 mana and taps for 1 mana with no setback. Prophetic Prism, a way to net you cards if you want to target this with a token creator if Orvar is out, or just to filter mana. That's it from the mana rocks, and then the last is the mana base. To keep this deck budget and cheap, I opted to run 36 basic islands because a lot of value comes through the actual cards in the deck instead of the land base and utility lands. We don't run utility lands in a deck where we want the budget to be as low as possible because they can add value to the deck very quickly. But yeah guys, I hope you enjoyed that. Just if you like the type of content, let me know. Subscribe to the channel. I will be doing more deck techs over the weekends when I get time. But yeah, feel free to comment if you like the deck tech. If you have any suggestions on what I can change or what I should change, just let me know. I'll include a I'll include a deck list for this deck in the description. If you guys are really interested in this deck, let me know. Um, I've won, I think, once with this deck over Spell Table. Um, I had to think of a lot of triggers and how to place those triggers to be able to win on my turn. But trust me, it can be done, and this deck is very strong. And it is quite well optimized for a $25 limit. But yeah guys, I'll see you in the next one.